Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We have a very interesting matchup to get into today. Iga Swiatek versus Karolina Muchova in the round of 16 for Indian Wells. It's an interesting one because Muchova has so much variety in her game and she is arguably one of the most talented players on tour. I'd say top 5 in terms of raw talent. Iga hasn't had the best of seasons, but we know that Indian Wells is a place where she is really at home. Won the title twice, looking to win it a third time. I mean, she loves it here in the desert. Before we get into it though, remember that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Also, do click that notification bell so you get alerted to any new uploads on YouTube. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, then yeah, leave us a review and shout out to our members. You guys are legends. Okay, let's get into it. So, head-to-head is 3-1 in favour of Swiatek. The most recent meeting was actually at the United Cup this year. 6-3, 6-4 was the scoreline in favour of the Polish star. The one win that Muchova has over Swiatek was all the way back in 2019. So I'm not really sure we can look into that. And it was 3 sets. However, the 2 matches that they played since that Prague match, and excluding, of course, the United Cup match, were 2 matches in 2023. One was on the clay, of course, at Roland Garros in the final, and Swiatek came out on top. Muchova had her chances in that final. Then in Montreal, another 3-set affair, and again Swiatek came out on top 6-4 in the deciding set. And yeah, I mean, look, I don't think Muchova's going to have a whole lot of confidence coming into this match because on paper it's a tough matchup because of the head-to-head. Mentally, the conditions as well, I think it's going to be difficult. One thing that Swiatek is very good at doing is actually combating the slice, and Muchova's got one of the best slices on tour. Very reminiscent of an Ash Barty slice, and in the same league, I think, as someone like a Jabberg, and they've got fantastic slices, and Muchova's is the type of knifing slice that gives a lot of players on tour a really big headache, but it's not really the same for Swiatek. She does really well to get low on that backhand side and get low, generate a lot of racket head speed, and just get to neutral straight away from that shot. It doesn't really hurt her. She's also pretty good at running around the backhand and hitting a very, very spinny forehand with a lot of penetration through the court. And at Indian Wells, of course, the fact that she's been so good at the tournament puts her in good stead for this match, but there's a big reason for it, right? And it's because the courts are very conducive to spin, and she hits with more spin, I think, than anyone on the tour, I would argue. I think that was prevalent at the Australian Open when she hit her, I think it was potentially just her forehand specifically. Her forehand had more RPMs than any of the women on tour for that tournament, but also all the men on tour for that tournament. So she was really ripping the forehand. And at Indian Wells, you get you get rewarded. You really get rewarded for hitting with a lot of spin. And so, you know, she finds great angles. She really pushes people back at Indian Wells, and she attacks them relentlessly, in all honesty. What's going to be interesting is to see how Muchova approaches this match, and does she change tact a little bit? If the slice isn't working, does she try to go flatter with the backhand more often? And I wouldn't say it's a particularly harmful shot, so it'll be interesting to see how she does combat that slight, I would say, obstacle that stands in her way. And then also we know that on the forehand to forehand, she hits a pretty relatively flat ball, Muchova, but Muchova's got great variety, so she should be able to mix it up. I think that's what really comes into this. How does she apply herself? Because she has a lot of tools that she can utilize, but is she able to bring those to the fore effectively and execute the game plan to a T against Swiatek? And I think a lot of that will be down to hitting with more depth, and it's been trying to find good angles. If she wants to shorten the points, I actually think she's got fantastic hands in the net. It's not a bad tactic against Swiatek. We've seen a lot of players do that and have success at times. Potentially even approaching the forehand rather than backhand. She could actually approach behind the slice, but it's a bit of a risk, if I'm being honest, because Swiatek could find short angles cross-court on the backhand side. She's going to have to serve well, Muchova. I mean, her serve is up there as some of the best, and she needs to hit her spots, really put pressure on Swiatek in her own service games. If she can get through her service games quickly, Muchova, then there's no reason why she then can't apply pressure on Iga's. And that is one area, I would say. If we look at Iga's game, well, there's two areas I would say. One is the serve, and one is the net play. Now, on serve, it's a work in progress still. And it is getting better and better, no doubt. Over, the last few years, the upward trajectory is there. But it still can falter at times. She can still be very safe, especially off the second serve. And her second serve is very attackable. So she's not making a lot of first serves, and Muchova needs to be stepping well inside the baseline, Karolina Garcia-esque, trying to take advantage of that and really apply the pressure on Iga. For Muchova, she needs to be hitting her spots. I think, as we know, she can do that, vary it up, make Iga second guess. She's the best returner on tour, I would say, Iga. So she needs to look after her service games. And I do think a serve and volley here and there from Muchova is not a bad shout. Honestly, it's really not. Iga doesn't hit a super flat ball, so she should get some pretty nice volleys at times. If she's able to drag Swiatek out. It's an interesting matchup, but it's tough really to look away from Iga because the conditions are just so conducive to her type of game. I'm going to go with Iga, and I think in straight sets, if I'm being honest. It would be good to see Muchova win, just because I think for the sake of the head-to-head and also for her career. I mean, she's such a talented player. If she were to beat someone like Iga in what is maybe her second or third favourite tournament, it would be a big win. But I just think Iga's so dominant on these courts at Indian Wells, and I know the surface has changed, they've relaid it, but it doesn't seem that much different. Slightly quicker, maybe slightly lower bouncing, but it's still enough in terms of the conditions are still, I would say, suited enough to her style of play that she is by and far the favourite for this tournament still. Let me know in the comment section below who you picked and why. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you on the next video.